There comes a moment in a person's life when the weight of waiting begins to feel heavier than the promise itself. When the silence around you grows louder than the prayers you've spoken. When the journey seems so delayed that your heart begins to ask, did God forget me? But listen to me right now. The very moment you think God has delayed the longest is the moment He is preparing to move the fastest. God's timing never fails. If you dare to relax your anxious heart, to step back from your fear and simply watch what God unfolds, you will witness something so extraordinary that you will say, only God could have done this. You must understand deep within your spirit that God does not work according to the panic in your heart. He works according to the perfection of His timing. He is never early, never late. He is the author of time, the controller of moments, the one who turns seasons with a single whisper. And when God decides that your moment has come, nothing, no barrier, no enemy, no delay, no obstacle, no fear will be able to stop what God has ordained to rise. You may be tired. You may be frustrated. You may be wondering why the path has been so long, but God has never once stepped away from the process He designed for you. God is not ignoring you. He is aligning you. Too many people look at their lives and think the delay is a denial. They think the waiting means abandonment. But what if the waiting is not punishment? What if the waiting is protection? What if God is holding you back? Because where He is sending you requires a stronger version of you, a wiser version of you, a more patient version of you, a more spiritually alert version of you. Sometimes God delays not because you are unworthy, but because your promise is too big to be rushed. You are not waiting because God forgot you. You are waiting because what God planned for you requires precision. And you cannot rush divine precision. You see, when God prepared a blessing for you, He prepared it in perfect alignment with your destiny. God does not give you anything that will be wasted. God does not release anything prematurely. God does not let you walk into something that will destroy you. And so when you feel the waiting stretch long, when the silence feels endless, you must remind yourself that God is protecting you from what you cannot yet see. God's timing is not designed to frustrate you. It is designed to fulfill you. Many people try to force doors open, but forced doors never lead to peaceful rooms. When God opened the door, it will open without force, without manipulation, without pressure, because the timing is ordained, not manufactured. Relax. That is the command the human heart struggles with the most. Relaxing does not mean giving up. Relaxing does not mean surrendering to defeat. Relaxing means trusting that God is doing something behind the scenes that your eyes are not yet allowed to see. Relaxing means releasing your need to control what only God can orchestrate. Relaxing means letting God prove that He is wiser than your timeline and stronger than your impatience. The more you try to control the timing, the more frustrated you will become. The more you surrender the timing to God, the more peace will flow into your spirit. Relax and watch God turn your waiting into a miracle. There is a reason God moves slowly before He moves suddenly. God takes time to build the foundation. God takes time to shift the atmosphere. God takes time to clear the path. God takes time to prepare the hearts of those connected to your destiny. God takes time to align opportunities. God takes time to weaken the plans of your enemies. God takes time to strengthen what He placed inside you, so that when the breakthrough arrives, you are not overwhelmed but ready. What feels slow to you is strategic to God. And when the strategy is complete, God will release what you have been praying for without hesitation. Some of you are in a season where you feel stuck, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is happening in the unseen. Think of a seed buried beneath the soil. It looks still. It looks dormant. It looks forgotten. But beneath the surface, the seed is breaking, expanding, awakening, and preparing to rise. You cannot see the transformation, but the transformation is happening nonetheless. God often works in the places your eyes cannot reach. God builds in the places your understanding cannot enter. Just because you cannot see the progress does not mean the progress is not real. God is moving on your behalf right now, even in the silence. There are three battles every person faces in the waiting: the battle of impatience, the battle of fear, and the battle of comparison. Impatience tells you it should have happened by now. Fear whispers, maybe it will never happen. Comparison shouts, look at everyone else. They are moving ahead while you stay behind. These three enemies will try to break your spirit, but they cannot defeat a person who trusts the timing of God. When impatience attacks you, respond with discipline. When fear attacks you, respond with faith. When comparison attacks you, respond with gratitude. These responses open the space for God to act. When you learn to trust the timing of God, you stop living in panic and start living with purpose. You stop rushing and start receiving. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop fighting the process and begin flowing with it. You become anchored in God's rhythm, and when you move in God's rhythm, your life transforms. God does not want you to live anxious. God does not want you to live suffocated by timelines. God does not want you to be tormented by impatience. God wants you to walk with peace, because peace is the soil where blessings grow. Fear and frustration choke blessings, but peace attracts them. Relaxation is not a passive state. It is a spiritual posture. It is the position of someone who says, God, I trust your timing more than my fear. I trust your plan more than my impatience. I trust your wisdom more than my understanding. When you enter this posture, you begin to see evidence of God's hand everywhere. You begin to recognize divine alignments. You begin to witness doors opening without effort. You begin to encounter opportunities that find you instead of you finding them. Relaxation invites miracles because it shows God that you are ready to receive without resistance. Think of all the times in your past when you worried and panicked, only to later look back and say, God knew exactly what He was doing. If God has never failed you before, why would He start failing you now? God's track record is flawless. Every time you thought the delay would destroy you, God proved that the delay was preparing you. Every time you thought the silence meant you were forgotten, God showed you that silence was part of the strategy. Every time you thought you were behind, God brought you ahead in ways you could not imagine. God has not lost the battle concerning your life, and He will not lose this one. Sometimes God delays because He is removing people from your journey who cannot go where you are going. Sometimes God delays because He's shifting the environment so that when He releases your blessing, it is preserved, protected, and positioned to thrive. Sometimes God delays because He's teaching you patience, discipline, discernment, or spiritual maturity. Sometimes God delays because the blessing requires a version of you that has outgrown your former habits, fears, or limitations. You may not understand what God is doing, but you must trust that God does not waste time. If God is taking long, it is because the result will be worth the wait. There are moments when God tests your ability to remain faithful even when nothing seems to change. That is where many people give up. They pray once, twice, 3 times, and when nothing moves, they assume God has closed the door. But hear me clearly, faith is not proven when God answers quickly. Faith is proven when God is silent. The true strength of a believer is measured not by how loudly they shout when things go well, but how firmly they stand when life stands still. If you can trust God in the silence, God will trust you with the blessing. The reason God's timing never fails is because God sees the beginning, the middle, and the end simultaneously. You see the moment, God sees the blueprint. You see the obstacle, God sees the outcome. You see the delay, God sees the destination. God knows every detail, every twist, every unseen danger, every hidden opportunity. God plans with a perfect knowledge. That is why His timing cannot fail. It is informed by divine wisdom, not human impatience. When you trust God's timing, you are aligning yourself with the perfection. Do not let the noise around you make you think nothing is changing. Do not let the opinions of people convince you that you are behind. Do not let the speed of others pressure you into rushing your process. Your story is not their story. Your calling is not their calling. Your timeline is not their timeline. God does not operate with a one-size-fits-all clock. God orchestrates your life according to your purpose, your destiny, your assignment. Comparing your timing to someone else's is like comparing a sunrise to a moonrise. They are both beautiful, but they unfold at different hours. There will come a moment when everything God has been preparing for you will collide with everything He has prepared inside you, and that moment will be your breakthrough. It will not require panic. It will not require striving. It will not require fear. It will simply flow because God has aligned it. You will look back on your waiting season and understand that God was not punishing you. God was maturing you. God was shaping your heart. God was protecting your spirit. God was preparing the platform on which you will stand. Relax, because God has already spoken the word concerning your destiny. Relax, because God is not confused about your future. Relax, because God knows exactly when to open the door. Relax, because God is never late. Relax, because God has never failed. Relax, because what God promised is already written in the unseen, waiting to manifest in the seen. Relax, because what God has ordained cannot be taken from you. Relax, because when God decides it is time, the blessing will not take years, it will take moments. And when it happens, it will happen so suddenly, so beautifully, so perfectly aligned that you will understand why the waiting was necessary. You will understand why certain people had to leave. You will understand why some opportunities were blocked. You will understand why some delays protected you from unseen harm. You will understand why God made you wait. You will understand that every second was preparing you for a moment you were destined to experience. God's timing never fails, never. God is orchestrating something for you right now that requires patience, trust, and surrender. And if you can calm your spirit long enough to see what God is doing, if you can release your anxiety long enough to let God move, if you can silence your fear long enough to hear God's voice, you will witness the manifestation of what you have prayed for. Not halfway, not partially, not almost, fully, completely, perfectly, in the way only God can do. There is a depth to God's timing that human understanding cannot measure, a depth that stretches beyond logic, beyond emotion, beyond the routines of daily life. And the deeper your spirit grows, the clearer you begin to see that God does not simply arrange moments, God arranges transformations. God does not only schedule events, God schedules awakenings. God's timing is not just about when something happens, it is about who you become when it happens. And when God prepares a life-changing moment, He prepares a life-changed person to receive it. That is why you cannot rush what God is shaping. The moment you try to seize control, you disconnect from the divine rhythm that was designed to elevate you beyond your imagination. Sometimes God slows down your life so that the noise around you fades and the whisper of His guidance becomes audible. Sometimes God pauses your journey so you can notice what you would have ignored had things moved faster. Sometimes God closes a door not to limit your progress, but to prevent you from walking into a room you were never meant to enter. God's timing is a shield as much as it is a schedule. When God says wait, it is not to weaken you, it is to safeguard you. It is to secure the blessing. It is to protect your destiny. And the moment you begin to trust that God's pauses are purposeful, you begin to see delays not as barriers, but as blessings in disguise. Many people suffer spiritually because they think speed equals success. They want everything instantly, instant answers, instant breakthroughs, instant promotions, instant solutions. But instant blessings often fade just as instantly. What God builds slowly, God sustains permanently. What is crafted over time is anchored in strength. When God develops you through seasons of patience, He is constructing a foundation that cannot collapse. You may feel like others are outrunning you, but speed means nothing if the destination crumbles. When God moves you, He moves you into something that will last. God does not simply elevate you, He establishes you. There are seasons God intentionally hides you. You may feel overlooked, unseen, forgotten, but hear me, hidden seasons are holy seasons. They are moments when God works on you privately so He can reveal you publicly at the right time. You are not buried, you are planted. A seed must be hidden before it rises. A seed must sit in darkness before it breaks open. A seed must endure pressure before it transforms. And when God decides that it is time for the seed to emerge, there is no power on earth that can stop the sprouting. You may not like the darkness, but the darkness is the proof that God is preparing you for light. Do not resent the seasons where God feels silent. Silence is not absence. Silence is instruction. Silence is alignment. In the silence, God is teaching you how to hear beyond words, to sense beyond emotion, to perceive beyond vision. In the silence, God adjusts your spirit so that you no longer chase noise, but seek truth. Silence trains you to rely not on stimulation, but on revelation. And revelation only comes when your spirit becomes still enough to receive it. When God is quiet, God is teaching you how to grow. Many people lose their blessing because they panic before the miracle arrives. Fear makes you react. Panic makes you abandon your position. Impatience makes you sabotage what God is constructing. But strength, true spiritual strength, comes from anchoring yourself in God. Even when nothing makes sense, in the unseen, God is aligning circumstances. In the background, God is shifting hearts. In the quiet, God is preparing solutions that will arrive exactly when your spirit is ready to hold them. When God works slowly, it is because the blessing is too great to rush. When God works quickly, It is because the preparation is complete. God never makes a mistake in timing. Your task is not to predict the moment. Your task is to remain faithful until the moment comes. Many people want to know when, but God wants you to know Him. When your trust deepens, timing becomes less stressful. When your faith matures, waiting becomes less painful. When your confidence shifts from deadlines to God's will, your heart becomes unshakable. You stop counting days and start trusting direction. You stop demanding answers and start embracing assurance. You stop fearing delays and start recognizing them as divine design. There will be times when everything inside you wants to rush ahead, to force outcomes, to push past God's pace. But hear this truth. Anything you obtain outside of God's timing will require you to maintain outside of God's grace. And maintaining what God did not authorize drains your spirit, exhausts your peace, and disrupts your destiny. But what arrives in God's timing carries God's strength. It comes with ease, with clarity, with peace. It fits, it aligns, it feels right because it is right. When God's timing meets God's promise, you will know it instantly. When God finally moves in your life, it will not feel random. It will feel precise. It will feel intentional. It will feel like everything you went through, every delay, every disappointment, every closed door, every unanswered prayer was a part of a masterful plan that now reveals its purpose. You will see how God redirected you, protected you, humbled you, elevated you, and transformed you behind the scenes. You will stand in awe of how God took every fragmented piece of your story and assembled them into something beautiful, powerful, meaningful. You will see that nothing was wasted. God used it all. There is a divine rest that comes when you finally release, control, and trust God fully. This rest is not laziness. It is not apathy. It is a spiritual confidence. It is the peace that says, I do not know how, but I know who. It is the quiet certainty that whispers, I do not know when, but I know it will happen. It is the strength that acknowledges, I cannot see it now, but God has already written the outcome. When you dwell in this divine rest, you stop striving and start living. You stop worrying and start trusting. You stop fearing and start expecting. Expectation is the atmosphere where miracles are born. When your heart expects God to move, you shift from worry to readiness. You begin to prepare for what has not yet appeared. You begin to step into the identity God intended for you long before the blessing arrives. You begin to carry yourself with the dignity of someone who knows God's promise is assured. Expectation changes everything. It changes your posture, your energy, your decisions, your discipline. Expectation is faith in motion. And when you live with expectation, you no longer beg God to move. You position yourself for the moment He does. You purify your motives. You sharpen your focus. You strengthen your values. You grow in integrity. You cultivate peace. You refine your spirit. You become the version of yourself that God has always seen, even when you didn't. This transformation is part of the timing. God will not give you a blessing that your character cannot carry. So God shapes your spirit before He shapes your circumstances. You have not been denied. You have been prepared. You have not been ignored. You have been refined. You have not been delayed. You have been aligned. Every season of waiting has been a season of becoming. And the moment God reveals what He has prepared, you will understand that the wait was not long at all. It was perfect. God's timing is always perfect because God is perfect. So relax your mind, relax your spirit, relax your fear. Relax your assumptions. Relax your anxieties. God is not confused about your future. God is not concerned about your timeline. God is not overwhelmed by your challenges. God knows exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And when He moves with precision that breaks limitation, dissolves obstacles, and accelerates destiny. You may not know how close you are to breakthrough. You may not realize how near the shift is. You may not understand how much God has already orchestrated on your behalf. But the moment God opened the door, you will see that everything you worried about was unnecessary. God was always in control. God has always been ahead of you. God has always been guiding you step by step, even when it felt like wandering. God's timing never fails. There are moments in life when God slows the world around you, not to punish you, but to clear your vision. When life becomes quiet, when movement pauses, when progress feels suspended, God is not withholding your breakthrough. God is preparing you to recognize it. Sometimes blessings arrive softly, disguised in subtle shifts, and if your spirit is restless, you will miss what God has placed right before you. God teaches you how to see beyond the surface, how to discern beyond the emotion, how to sense His direction, even when everything else feels still. This is why you must never underestimate the power of waiting. Waiting refines sight. Waiting strengthens discernment. Waiting trains your heart to follow God rather than follow the crowd. When God orchestrates timing, He is not responding to circumstance, He is commanding it. Every delay holds a divine origin. Every setback contains hidden instruction. Every closed door carries protection coded into it. But this truth becomes visible only to those who stop fighting God's pace. The more you resist God's timing, the harder the journey feels. The more you align with God's timing, the smoother your spirit becomes. You begin to understand that God is not simply guiding your life, God is guarding it. God's timing is a shield on one side and a key on the other. It blocks what is not meant for you, and it unlocks what is. And this divine system never fails. You must also know that God's timing is deeply connected to the people around you. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay for the revelation God is preparing. Some people are temporary lessons, others are lifelong alignments. God will delay certain blessings until He has removed the voices that would distort them. God will withhold certain opportunities until He has separated you from those who would sabotage them. God will pause your journey because He refuses to let the wrong person walk with you into the right season. The blessing God has for you is too precious to be contaminated by unprepared hearts. When someone suddenly exits your life, it is not chaos, it is choreography. There are seasons when God tests your ability to trust Him, even when everything seems contrary to His promise. You may pray for abundance and find yourself in lack. You may pray for strength and find yourself in weakness. You may pray for clarity and walk through confusion. But these contradictions are not contradictions at all. They are divine training. God often allows you to experience the opposite of what you asked for, so He can prepare you to handle the very thing you desire. If you ask for patience, God will send the seasons that require it. If you ask for strength, God will bring challenges that demand it. If you ask for wisdom, God will place you in situations that reveal the necessity of it. God's timing includes development, and development is always uncomfortable. There are dimensions of blessing only accessible through spiritual maturity. God does not give powerful destinies to untrained hearts. God does not give heavy responsibility to unsteady character. God does not give a profound influence to untested discipline. Your wait is not simply about arrival, it is about transformation. God is shaping your responses. God is strengthening your endurance. God is purifying your motives. God is enlarging your capacity so that when the blessing manifests, you do not crumble under its weight. God does not want you to receive a blessing you cannot sustain. A blessing that breaks you is not a blessing, it is a burden. So God strengthens you before He elevates you. There is also mysterious beauty in how God rewrites your story while you are unaware. You may feel as though nothing is changing, yet God is realigning the trajectory of your life in silence. There are battles you never saw because God fought them without informing you. There are opportunities that moved toward you long before you prayed for them. There are people God prepared years in advance just to bless you in a single moment. And when the timing comes together, you will stand in awe of how God orchestrated things that seemed impossible to connect. You will realize that every quiet season was an active season in the realm you could not see. Relaxing in God's timing does not mean becoming passive. It means becoming spiritually synchronized. It means walking with the rhythm God has written for your life rather than forcing the beat of your own impatience. It means trusting that God is not only preparing your blessing, He is preparing the environment in which your blessing will thrive. If the ground is not ready, the seed will rot. If the atmosphere is not aligned, the breakthrough will collapse. But when God perfects the conditions, everything unfolds effortlessly. What you couldn't lift will rise. What you couldn't open will swing wide. What you couldn't make happen will fall into place naturally. You may think God is slow, but God is never slow. God is meticulous. God is intentional. God is purposeful. Every detail matters to Him. Every sequence is planned. Every moment is woven. God's hand is on the big events and the smallest interactions. Even the seasons that felt wasted were silently molding you. The nights you cried, the days you felt forgotten, the situations you thought broke you, they were refining you. They were strengthening your spirit so that when God lifts you, nothing can pull you down again. Sometimes God delays because He wants your spirit to detach from outcomes and anchor in Him alone. If your peace depends on events, you will always be unstable. If your peace depends on timing, you will always be anxious. But when your peace depends on God, you become untouchable. Nothing can shake the soul that rests in God. Nothing can break the person who trusts God's way more than their own wishes. And once God establishes this level of spiritual grounding in you, He knows you are ready for the next chapter. You must also understand that God's timing is a form of a silent communication. Even when He says nothing, He is speaking. Even when He feels distant, He is drawing you closer. Even when He withholds answers, He is guiding you toward deeper faith. Silence from God is not disapproval, it is invitation. It is God calling you to lean in, listen with your heart, and trust without evidence. Faith grows not in abundance but in uncertainty. Faith strengthens not in clarity but in surrender. And the more your faith expands, the more confidently you walk into what God has prepared. The breakthrough God has designed for you will not require you to struggle to keep it. What is given in divine timing comes with divine support. God does not simply release blessings, He maintains them. God does not simply open doors, He guards them. God does not simply elevate you, He surrounds you with protection so that nothing and no one can uproot what He has established. This is why trusting the timing is as important as receiving the blessing. And when God finally unveils what He has been preparing, you will notice something extraordinary. It will feel natural. It will feel peaceful. It will feel like it was always meant to be. Because it was everything you endured, every disappointment you faced, every moment you questioned yourself, all of it was God carving the path. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. God used everything to orchestrate the moment that is coming. Continue to relax. Continue to breathe. Continue to stand firm. Continue to trust the timeline of the one who knows the end before the beginning. The season you are walking into was not delayed, only perfected. And when God reveals it, your spirit will understand why the wait had to happen exactly the way it did. And now, as your spirit absorbs every truth God has been whispering into your journey, let this final conviction settle deep within you. Nothing God plans for you can be rushed, ruined, or removed. What God authors cannot be edited by fear, interrupted by people, or rewritten by circumstance. God's timing is the ultimate guarantee that your destiny is protected, guided, and unfolding with divine precision. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not forgotten. You are exactly where God needs you to be for the next chapter He is preparing to release. So walk away from this moment with a renewed calm in your soul. Let the weight you've been carrying dissolve into trust. Let the anxiety that has followed you for years melt into surrender. Lift your head and steady your heart, because the same God who carried you through every silent night is the God who will lift you into every promised morning. You are closer than you think. Breakthrough is nearer than it appears. The shift is already in motion. The doors are already unlocking. The path is already cleared. The blessing is already formed. All you need to do now is stay aligned, stay anchored, and stay expectant. Relax into God's timing, because what is coming is greater than anything you imagined, stronger than anything that tried to stop you, and more beautiful than anything you believed you deserved. Trust the pace. Trust the plan. Trust the one who holds your entire life in His hands. God's timing never fails. Rest in it, wait in it, and soon you will see what only God can make happen.